You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hello, everyone. We're back at Stellar Success Podcast, and I'm Dr. Tudor Francu with a great guest today, Dr. Michael Hutchinson from Michigan. How are you, Doc?
Everything's great. Ready for the new year.
Yes, that's true. A new beginning.
Every year.
Every year happens for some reason, right?
Yep.
Dr. Hutchinson, how are you successful? What does it mean to be successful for yourself?
That all my kids are happy and successful in their jobs and fulfilled, and they still like me.
Yeah, that's important. I agree.
You know, I come from parents who were farmers and worked hard, and they were successful. And I think everything that they examples they gave me and everything they taught me just helped me have the drive and the patience to work hard and never give up. And if I have reached any success, I give them all the credit because they're the ones that taught me what life is all about and what worth is hard work. And I think that's really the most important thing, is that you find something you really love and enjoy to do, work harder than everybody else, and you'll be successful. It's not like you are bound to fail, but if you just keep pushing forward and be patient, you can be successful in anything that you do.
Yeah, that's true. Patience is a virtue.
It really is. And I mean, you just never give up, because you're going to hit some roadblocks, but you pick yourself up and keep going. You're going to see a lot of success too. And eventually you're going to be successful where you want to be. I think there's a book out that says if you practice for 10,000 hours, you're going to be successful, like the Beatles.
Yep.
Or Bill Gates.
Exactly.
All these people who are notable and have done something good, they've all practiced for 10,000 hours.
Yeah, it's not much of a secret, right? It's just practicing consistency that brings the success out of you, no matter what you do.
It's how you become a good doctor. You practice every day.
Yep. Now, tell us a little bit about your story, and how did you start? What was your journey, and where are you now?
Well, I really, growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I lived in Ames, Iowa, with the #1 veterinary school in the nation. My dad was an exercise physiologist at Iowa State, and my mom was a school teacher, and I liked animals, and I thought that'd be a great thing to do. And I went to shadow a veterinary student and see what it was like. So we went for the day. The first thing we did was a pig surgery, which I thought was really cool. And then he said, "We got to go check my cows. So let's go." And he went in there and put on a glove up to his shoulder and stuck it up the rear end of the cow and checked for whether it was ovulating or not. And I asked him, "If you want to be a small animal doctor, do you have to do that?" And he goes, "Everybody has to do that." And I was so disappointed. There's no way I was going to stick my arm up back end of a cow. And I told my dad. He had a big belly laugh about that, being a farmer when he grew up. And I said, "Now what do I do?" And he says, "Well, why don't you go into dentistry? Those guys work 3 days a week and play golf the rest." And I said, "That sounds pretty good." So I shadowed a dentist in town, and she was very, very good at what she did, and I really liked it. And I decided right then and there, when I was 17, that that's what I wanted to do. And I did everything I needed to do to go into dental school. And I did. I went to Loyola Dental School in Chicago. It was actually it was the first dental school in 1870s. It started. And it was a great clinic environment, learned, great clinical skills, and started my own practice there in the suburb of Chicago, and just worked really hard and learned as much as I could, and put myself into the forefront of new techniques and technology that was starting to come out. I think if I ever did anything good in that way, it was I was able to see what was the future, and I was able to always put myself into that position that I could be at the forefront of the future. And it took me all the way to where I'm at now. I'm a neuromuscular dentist and a cosmetic dentist. I was one of the first 125 cosmetic dentists in the world. And the science of neuromuscular dentistry was just coming to be about then. And that really changed everything that I did, and brought me into inventing a mouth guard, if you will, but it's really more of a medical device that increases your strength by 17% and reduces the chance of a concussion down to 0.2%, all because of a normal key body mechanism called physiologic jaw position that opens up nerve channels to your muscles and positions your jaw in a very safe place so that it doesn't transmit those G forces of concussion. And that was all about just keeping on top of what was coming out in dentistry and learning quickly about how to solve TMJ problems differently than we were taught in the institutions of dental school, and really being able to make a difference in people who suffer a lot with TMJ. And that just was a springboard into figuring out how to extrapolate that to sports. And really, I've had 7,000 in a study of athletes wearing this device, and only 9 people had a concussion. That's 0.2%. That's almost zero, and it's really making a big difference in concussion research.
So tell us a little bit, did you make a business out of it?
Yeah, what I did was I was not really satisfied with the way that I was taught and the philosophy of how the jaw works in dental school. Back in '85, I was taught that there was this thing called TMJ, temporomandibular joint syndrome, produces migraines, headaches, chronic muscle pain, head and neck pain, back pain, balance issues, and there was really no concrete explanation. Even today, there isn't really much of a consensus on what causes TMJ and how to treat it. And what was taught me back in '85 is really still 99 out of 100 dentists are doing it this way. And I just, when I was told about it in school, I just shook my head and said that can't be. They taught me that there's this thing called TMJ. Here's all these symptoms that I described, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can somewhat alleviate the pain through something called a bite splint, which all you do is take an impression, send it off to the lab. They make the bite splint. You bring it back, make sure that they bite evenly on it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. There's nothing we can do. And I just thought, that's crazy. I mean, if I'm going to be a doctor and somebody comes to me for help and I say, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's nothing I can do. How good am I? So I just happen to have.
Yeah, we're not weather people, right?
Yeah, I know. It's like, you're coming to me for help. I should be able to help you.
Yeah.
And I had 5 really severe patients that had been to many doctors and were just suffering, and nobody could help them. And they had lots of different kinds of splints, but they all do the same thing. And I just happened to, through my affiliation with the Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, talk to a friend, and he said, you should come see this Dr. Carlson. He spent his whole life, 35 years, studying TMJ, and the guy's amazing. And so I called him and I said, tell me what you're doing. And he described it to me, and I thought, wow, that makes sense. So I said, when can I come and meet with you? And I flew out to Las Vegas and spent a weekend with him. And I personally had TMJ symptoms and didn't sleep very good in hotels. And I tell you, long story short, we made myself what I call a diagnostic appliance, and slept like a baby. All my pain went away within 8 hours, and never returned. And I said, this is how the body works. This is how the body works. And so I went back and I called those 5 people, and I said, now I can cure you. Now I can take care of you, and I did. And then because of that, I was so excited about it that I was unstoppable. I would stop people in restaurants. I would overhear them say, oh, I've had a migraine for 3 days. I'd stand up from my food. I'd go over there and I'd say, I can help you with that. And you come see me. Nobody else is going to help you because everybody is bought into the, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, there's nothing I can do. And I've seen over 1,000 cases with 100% success rate because that's how the body works. It's how the body works. And if you let the body do the work the way it wants to do it, you get resolution. And because of that, I started seeing these people, these senior ladies who were saying, I used to carry my Christmas ornaments up from the basement and all that, and I can't do that anymore, too heavy. And now that you've fixed my jaw, I can do it again. What's up with that? And so I kind of started to see what kind of research was out there, and there was some early research about a lower mouth guard increasing strength. The Russian weightlifting team had won several gold medals with this funky lower mouth guard, and people were testing it out. There was a study in 1983 in Notre Dame that showed the football players had increased strength, increased stamina, and less knee injuries because of a thing they called a MORA, mandibular repositioning appliance. But they didn't know why it worked or anything like that. There wasn't really any definitive studies. And so I thought, wow, if I could make Mrs. Jones stronger, what would happen if I took the Detroit Lions, who are 0-9, made their linemen 25% stronger? They'd be in the Super Bowl, and I'd be a genius. So I started testing it for sports and using the current physiologic jaw positioning technique and testing. The first guy I tested was a fire chief here in town who got on the USA powerlifting team and bench pressed 398 pounds and won a national championship at the age of 65. And he said in an article he wrote about him, he said, I want to break the world record. It's held by a Russian, and it's 435 pounds. And I'm going to Prague for the international competition, and I want to break that world record. And I've never lifted more than 398 pounds in my life. And I called him up cold and said, I don't want you to think I'm a quack doctor or anything, but I can get you your world record tonight. That was totally out of faith on my part. I didn't have any proof. I just knew that there was something about this physiologic jaw position mechanism that increases strength. And so sure enough, he came over. I made him a quick mouth appliance. He went and did his workout and lifted 455 pounds and quit because he thought he was going to get hurt. But he said, I could do more. I could do way more. I know I could do. So I said, well, I need your data. So you just give me your logs for the next 6 weeks, and I'll have my data. And then you go to Prague and break the world record. And he did. He broke the world record with a sanctioned 455-pound lift, held the record for 10 years. And I knew that was a true body principle. And subsequently, Wayne State University Biomedical Engineering Department did a study on their football players that showed a 17% increase in strength by putting your jaw in your own personal physiologic jaw position. And it's only unique to you. Anecdotally, the football team they studied with that went on to go into the D2 national championship game and had the winningest record in the history of the school, all because the players all were in their own physiologic jaw position, and they had no concussions. And from that, I just started testing as many people as I could. I tested my son's football team from 8th grade to 12th, along with the Catholic school for 6 years, no concussions. Catholic school won 5 state championships in a row, and my son's team had all winning seasons in the public school. So I knew right there that I had discovered a normal body function and started to put together a prototype that any kid could fit at home and get themselves in their own physiologic jaw position.
Very interesting. This is a great story, and I think this is one of the examples of someone in the medical field that branches out with an idea and brings it to fruition and makes a whole different business out of it.
It hasn't been easy, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to ask you. I'm sure you hit some roadblocks in your life and some setbacks. Can you give us an example of something that didn't work out and kind of spring you forward 10 times
Well,
higher?
there's a lot of things, and I think, again, as I said earlier, I'm kind of blessed with the mentality that I don't quit. No matter what happens, I just keep moving along. And there's been lots of milestones in this journey, but it's also been difficult at times. And I think the one greatest hurdle and difficulty is to change a mindset of people, of all of us, that have an idea of what a mouth guard should be, and most of us don't like it. And so when you try to change that paradigm, it feels impossible sometimes. It
Yeah.
feels like you can never overcome that historical tradition, because people have this ingrained 75-year-old idea of what a mouth guard is, and they don't like it. And so a lot of them don't even want to hear about it. Um, it's something that takes education. And so people sometimes they can't understand that. And so the only thing that you can do to overcome that, I found, is just having people use it. And when they use it and they go through a full season without a concussion, and they perform better than they ever thought they could, then that's just proof in the pudding. But to be able to change that mindset has been the most difficult thing that I've ever come across, because I can show people, I can show them on their body immediately, and then they don't do anything about it. And that's just, to me, it's like, if I'm standing there like when we were kids and talking on the wall phone that's connected to the wall with a dial, and you hand me an iPhone, and I say, yeah, no, I just keep this wall phone. That's just totally non-understandable. It's like,
Well,
okay,
I think one thing that we're missing probably is the bigger perspective in life, right? And there's so many people that cannot think beyond their own realm. So when you come over with a device like that, that's revolutionizing the whole concept of physiology of the mouth and the body, obviously people are going to be skeptical, and not only skeptical, but they cannot imagine what that device can do for them. Are you a busy medical professional striving to excel in life and work? Stellar Success Podcast brings you the habits and insights of top leaders in medicine and beyond. Discover strategies for balance, growth, and fulfillment in every episode. Follow us on Instagram at Stellar Success Podcast for daily inspiration. Start your journey to success today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel now. And I want to ask you, I mean, what is the finality, I would say, for this product? What do you want to do with it? What
my hope is that it's a paradigm change. It's like I just said, we used to talk on wall phones, and now hardly any of us do. It's like penicillin. We discovered penicillin, and we started eradicating infection. Who would want to go back to having infections, and not using it? It's a change that needs to be made. It's so easy. And if you think about sports and the protection that is afforded this part of your skull, there isn't any sport except for maybe motocross with a helmet that goes down below your chin. That's probably the only sport that really truly protects your jaw. But we keep having the same amount of concussions every year for the last 60 years. It doesn't change. And we say, wow, this is just such a hard nut to crack. But the jaw has nothing to do with it. It's just crazy, So it's like, I always use this example. In 1633, the Pope Urban V put Galileo in house arrest because he said the Earth orbited around the sun. And he said, no, it doesn't. I'm the Pope. And the Bible says the earth will not be moved, and that means it doesn't move. So the sun goes around the earth. And I'm putting you in house arrest until you stop teaching that. And Galileo died in house arrest because he knew that the earth went around the sun, and that was the true principle. So whatever we believe doesn't always mean that that's true. It's just what we believe. And so when it comes to this type of thing, my hope and goal is that it changes the perception of a mouth guard to something that is in everybody who plays sports, and even just physical activity. If you want to go out and ride your bike or jog or run, you're running or jogging or riding your bike in a deficiency. You're not doing as good as you can because your body is holding you back. You don't know this because you've grown up how you've grown up, and you feel how you feel, and you just don't know that you're not using all of your muscle fibers. You're just using a certain number of them. Even when you try as hard as you can, you're still not using them all. So my ultimate goal is that every person who plays sports, even recreationally, senior citizens who have balance issues, they all come to know this technology so that their lives can all be improved. Because all of us, I got a guy who mows his lawn using my appliance because he doesn't get tired anymore afterwards. He's got 2 acres, he mows it by hand, and he says, I don't feel exhausted after that anymore. So that's my goal for this. I really believe that it's a game changer. It's a new level of understanding how the body works.
This is impressive. And, you know, obviously the notion of having a medical professional doing something like this and kind of shake the principle, the world a little bit, you know, with this device, it's something that I want to kind of deconstruct a little bit more at your own personal level, because you, like you said, you are relentless. You didn't quit. You took your idea and put yourself into a drive mode to get it accomplished. Is this going to be your exit strategy?
Well, probably, because I'm 66. Dentistry is a physical profession. You don't think so, but you're doing microsurgery 8 hours a day. It's a subspecialty of medicine. In the United States, we've split it up because we had this mindset that physicians were physicians and dentists were dentists. Yeah. And even with like podiatrists are sort of separated from medicine, even though your mouth and your foot are part of your body.
Right.
And so, you know, it's just the way we look at it. But if you go to other countries, you go to med school, and then you go to you specialize in dentistry, you know. So, but just, you know, focusing on a tooth that's 6 millimeters long and 4 millimeters wide, and, you know, the nerve is about 10 millimeters deep in your tooth, and just concentrating on everything you have to do to put that in the exact occlusion or bite of your skull, which is within micrometers of tolerance, is a physical profession. And when you have to take somebody's tooth out, it takes some muscle. I mean, in the right way, it's not like you're barbaric and you just grab the tooth and run, but it takes precision and it takes some strength, and it's very physical. So, I mean, I'm realizing that at my age of 66, I'm more and more tired at the end of the day than I used to be. But to take it with this invention that I have, it's a different kind of exhaustion. Just it's mental, and you're traveling, I'm speaking, and those kinds of things. But I should be able to last a little bit longer doing that than doing the everyday dentistry. That I feel like I have another good 3 to 5 years full time in dentistry. I like it because it gives me credibility. If I stop doing dentistry, then I feel like I sort of become a salesman, you know, and I'm really
I know,
not.
but in a way, you know, because I wanted to ask you this, you know, this whole project means that it's not only an exit strategy, but it's something that can reward your efforts probably a lot better than than being a dentist for another 5 years. How do you see this income streams, passive income streams? I'm sure there's nothing passive in this one, but it's all active. But kind of switch over from your own profession to something like this, where you have a product that can help people and can make you money, obviously, towards your retirement.
Obviously, one man in a dental chair can only do so much. 300 million people in India wearing your product is a lot less strenuous, but it's really difficult to get there because, like we said, that you're changing a mindset and perception, and that's the hardest thing. When I give a talk, I have this picture of a football player in 1950 with just a picture of his helmet and his chin strap and a mouth guard. Yeah. And I say to the audience, what on this picture is the same today? And it takes a few people, but usually somebody will come up and say, a mouth guard. It's the exact same 75 years ago when it was invented in 1950 by the American Dental Association. The helmet's different, chin strap's different, they've got face masks, everything that, you just take football, everything that a football player wears is so much more improved from 1950, but the mouth guard is the same. Now, why hasn't that changed at all? Because it never was thought of as a medical corrective device. It was only thought of as cushioning your teeth. If your teeth bang together, without it, they fractured. So you put a little material between them, and it keeps that force. It distributes it away from the cusps of your teeth, and they don't break. They'll still be knocked out if there's enough force. You cannot prevent that, but they won't fracture. And that's really why a mouth guard was ever invented. And the other part of that is that it's felt that the upper arch, since it's normally overlaps the lower teeth, it's what they call it a leading arch, and that would be hit first if you ran into a wall. So that's why they put it on top. Yeah. That's really the only thinking it was, So things have really changed in that aspect, and it's time for that to just totally be changed. And if everybody in the world had this technology like they have iPhones, obviously the world would be a better place, but also you'd make some money at it.
Yeah. So, it took you some years to get where you are right now. And I'm sure there's a great future for this product later on. But if you would look back at yourself with what you know right now, how would you advise yourself back in the beginning?
Well, I probably would have gotten some funding from someone. That's another really challenge. I didn't want to put my family in jeopardy. I didn't want to borrow money that I couldn't pay back. It was very scary. So I just plugged along, and I went to the research because I really felt like if I could prove it without a shadow of a doubt, then I wouldn't need any money. But I got to a point where I did do that, and I still had a long road ahead of me because nobody knew about it. And so now I had all this research. I proved that it was a normal body function, but nobody knew about it. And if I wanted to get somebody to know about it, it's going to cost millions to advertise or fly here, there, and everywhere because I wasn't famous. So in order to speak somewhere, you had to pay money, and it's not an inexpensive amount that you pay. Texas High School Athletic Association said I could speak for $10,000, and it was just boggled my mind because I'm standing here, all of your hundreds of thousands of kids who you seem to be concerned about having concussions and not knowing what to do, and you're not gonna let me tell them and tell their coaches unless I give you $10,000. It was very frustrating, and I just had to find different ways. Like being on your program. There's thousands of people who listen to you, and each one of those people are going to hear this. And now they should not deny. They should just go and get one for their kids.
Right.
Because concussions are horrible.
Yeah.
One concussion will haunt you your whole life. I saw a study where it said that a concussion can cost you $100,000 throughout your life in symptoms and things that happen to you that just don't get better. And it's not fun. I've had a concussion myself back when they didn't know what to do with them. When I was in fifth grade, and the doctor said, "Turn out the lights and send him to bed." That's what they told my mom.
Right. And even if you don't have a concussion, you just have a dental injury, just the dentist bills kind of ruin you, right?
Well, anything like that's going to hurt, going to cost you money, So it's just, things just have to change, and that's been the biggest hurdle. And I would say that to anybody who has something that is like this that can change the world, just don't let people tell you that it's not going to measure up, or you're chasing a wild dream. They only tell you that because they can't do it, and so they think from that mentality that you just can't do it. It's too grand of a scale. But nobody ever told Henry Ford that, or I'm sure there were people that did, but he didn't listen to them. Or Mr. Kellogg, who had all the cereals. He had several bankruptcies before he became successful. So stick to your principles and stick to the knowledge which you know is true, and never doubt, because it is true. It's a true body mechanism, just like any other improvements in medicine that's happened over the last century. Putting leeches on people doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
Bleeding them out doesn't happen anymore. And nobody should go out there on the playing field with an old-fashioned 75-year-old mouth guard. You're just playing dangerously. It makes you more susceptible to a concussion because it's not fit for you. It puts your jaw in a deleterious position because of the way it is. And so that's the real passion that I have, is just, we've got to change how we use this. And if we do, we're going to be concussion free.
Yeah, that's a great goal. So what's next in your journey right now with this product?
Well, we're talking with retailers. It's starting to blossom. COVID really, really knocked it down because nobody knew if they could play their sport or not, and nobody knew what they needed, and they just stopped all pursuit of this type of equipment because they really didn't know if they're going to play or not. And so I was left with a limbo for a couple, 3 years. I was starting to really build right before COVID, and just knocked it down. But now I'm back, and we're really making some strides with retailers and getting it to people. And I think podcasts have helped a lot, because I've been on a lot of podcasts. Thousands and thousands of people have heard about it, gone on and ordered it. The kids are using it. We have a long-term study. We want to keep track of concussions with our product, and we haven't had a concussion reported in 3 years of all the people who purchased one. And I mean, that's just phenomenal. You can't. I have a D1 football team, University of Alabama, Birmingham. It's gone 6 years without a concussion in sports, in Division I football. That's just unheard of.
Yeah.
I had a guy who just retired in the NFL. He played free safety for the Chiefs, 2 Super Bowls. In 9 years in the NFL, never had a concussion. That's unheard of. I mean, you play free safety, you're gonna hit your head.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. And he didn't have a concussion. I think he's probably the only one in the NFL that has done that, gone concussion free with that, especially in that position. So onward and upward. That's all I can say.
I'm very hopeful people are gonna check this out, and I'm sure everyone has a need for it for some reason. So I encouraged everybody to check this out. How can they get in touch with you or learn more about the product?
They can go on the website. It's www.neuroguardplus, spelled out, neuroguardplus.com. You can use the promo code NG plus sign NG10, and you can get 10% off. You can order it. It'll come right to you in about 3 to 5 days. And you need to follow the instructions. It's not how you're used to boiling and bite into it as hard as you can. You don't want to know that. You want to know where your physiologic jaw position is. And the only way that you can achieve that is by swallowing. So that's your autonomic nervous system or uncontrollable nervous system. And when you swallow, your jaw automatically goes into its physiologic jaw position as the material cools down. Mm-hmm. And then once it's cooled down and you're in that position, you're always in that position. You're never out of it. You don't have to run around with your teeth clenched. But anytime you swallow or put your teeth together, if you're going to hit somebody, you clench your teeth, you're always in the physiologic jaw position. So you have to follow the instructions. It's very easy to do. So neuroguardplus.com and NG10 is a promo code, and it'll be at your doorstep in 3 to 5 days.
That's awesome. Thank you for coming on, and I wish you real success with this product. Hopefully, it's gonna make everybody feel better. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.